Get Into Geek. This is episode 110. We are the Get Into Geek team talking Stargate SG-1. My name is Mitch. Joining me...
Daniel's f***ing dead. What the f***?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
They legit killed him off.
That was the best and worst kept secret of Get Into Gate. I don't know if we ruined it for you or not.
We'd hinted, we'd implied.
Meridian, we're talking Meridian.
Jesus. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you there, Mitch.
No, not at all. That is Rhys. And if you're new to the show, it's about introducing a first-time watcher to the show. And that was probably the best example we could have given. The rest of we got Maddie, we got Brendan.
I'm not crying.
Those two, myself, long-term fans of the show, so we knew this day was coming. We knew when this day was going to come again for us.
For 17 years.
Rhys had no idea. He's been so invested in this show for almost 5 complete seasons. And we said last week, it's going to be a big one next week. And he's like, okay, cool. It's the second last episode of the season. Of course, it's going to set up something big. No. They kill off a character that we first saw in the f***ing movie.
Yeah.
He's dead.
After
He's
5
dead.
seasons.
Hectic.
See you later.
How can it be the one? He's dead.
That did my head in.
Oh, no, we arrived in the car park this morning. And we all get out of a car. We all arrive in 4 separate cars. We all come into the car park separately.
Great for the
get out of our cars. So yeah, absolutely. We're all. It's early in the morning. We're all tired. We sort of out of our car. And then you just hear like this echo because it's this very vast but
Underground
car park. And just Rhys going, they f***ing killed Daniel! At that moment, I kind of wish we would have started recording like 2 or 3 hours later so that car park would have had a few other people walking around because you still would have said exactly the same thing.
It's still so devastating to me. Every time I watch this, even though I've seen it a million times over the last 15 years, it's just... It's so shattering.
Still get choked up.
Yeah.
I still get I remember bawling the first... Because Daniel's always been my favourite character.
Yeah.
I remember bawling the first time I saw this.
Are we going to read the synopsis or should I?
Yeah, no, I mean, yes. I guess we'll see what it says about it because
Rhys had the most banging synopsis. Daniel's dead.
Look, it's leading up to the point where...
Because, well, it's at the point we've asked you on several occasions to not read the... And you don't do that. You own, the future box sets and things like that. We said don't look at them because it'll give away certain plot details and blah, blah, blah.
Man,
and we did want to... At the time, we did want to say cast changes.
Yeah.
when this episode ended, it took all my strength not to watch the next one.
I knew that would be the case. I'm like, should we just bite the bullet and watch and do a double up record? Because there's no way that Rhys is going to be able to contain himself. Understandably.
Well, we'd even talk with doing like a watching party. Like we're all going to get together and watch the last 2 episodes and like film you to get your reaction.
Since the end of season 3, I said to you boys and even to Lincoln, I said, can we start like the season finales and even maybe the penultimate episodes? Can we maybe watch them here at the studio and film us watching them because it's like, oh, there's a great cliffhanger at the end of some of them. There's a big twist or whatever. Can we just start filming them so by the time we get to season 5, it's going to seem like the norm? Because I don't want to get to like last week, the Sentinel, and go, hey, next week, can we just come in and randomly record you watching it with us? Because then you'll know something's going to happen. But I wanted that reaction from you to the point where the last couple of days leading up to our recording session, I was going to message you both independently and say, I think we'll all know when Rhys watches this because he won't help but text us and go,
yeah, there'll be something in the group chat.
I was actually waiting for like some live text from you during going, they're not going to do this, are they? 22 minutes later going, holy shit, they're going to do this. 18 minutes later, oh my God, they did it. He's dead. So I got to last night. I went to bed. I'm like, I don't even know if Rhys has watched this yet because I've heard nothing from you. Absolute cricket. So
and getting a message going, oh, it's okay. They've pulled out the gold hand device. He's going to be fine. Yeah. Ignore my last few texts.
Hang on, Jacob's here. Everything's fixed. We're going to be fine. All right, so we'll get to the synopsis that Rhys wasn't allowed to read before watching this episode. See how it describes it and teases it, and we'll throw it over to Rhys and get his full breakdown. Exposed to a lethal dose of radiation, Jackson has just hours to live. SG-1 tries everything in its power to save him, but as the hours tick away, Jackson's spirit meets with each member individually to discuss his next mission, life after death. Written by Robert C. Cooper. Directed.
Cooper.
Now, for such an important episode, like a series-defining, changing episode, William Waring.
First of 38.
Waring, is that how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not even like it's like, hey, let's give it to Wood.
He's been he's been a camera operator
Yep.
for this season and a couple in like season 3. This is directorial debut.
Wow. I know that Deloise directed last week, Martin Wood the week before.
Yeah.
Martin Wood's doing next week.
Yes, and so he's obviously prepping for that. Deloise is sort of still like editing last week's episode or something, but still, like, how do they not... I just figured you would give it to someone who's got a real handle of the characters.
Did a great job, though, I thought.
Oh, absolutely great. And obviously he's been part of the team if he's a camera operator and stuff. Nothing to say that, like, he's completely new, but what a not a brave decision, but an unusual one. I
wonder if maybe they kind of had most of this story in the bag, and then when Shanks has gone, I'm not going to renew my contract, guys, and they've had to write a farewell. They've gone, let's take this story and add Daniel's death, where he doesn't get better at the end or whatever.
That's true.
And by then William, like, they'd already scheduled Martin and Peter for these other episodes, and Will just got the episode.
Got lucky. I think my favourite shot of this episode is where Daniel's walking around the infirmary as a ghost, and then he touches Jack on the shoulder, and it does that pan around, and then they're in the gate room.
And the lighting.
Thought that was great.
That was really cool.
That was great.
I was, I think, a little bit in denial throughout the whole thing, because I'm like, they're not going to kill him off. Like, he's going to get better. So it's just a matter of how they're going to do it. And I think it's like the whole Apophis thing, like, he's not dead, but he's dead. And then...
Or is he?
I hope not.
Secret is, the secret we've been hiding from you is that season 6, Apophis becomes the new member of SG-1.
He's an expert on all things gold, so
they've got rid of the Apophis' serpent, and it's just his host, just the old man host.
But Tilk outranks him now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole episode, I think I'll have to go back and watch it again, because it didn't really hit me until Tilk brought in that little wooden statue, and he's like, it may serve you in the afterlife and shit. I'm like, oh shit, they're actually going to do this. Like, we're running out of time, and he's not coming back. And then when Carter got the hand device out, and I'm like, classic Joel, and I saved the day. But then it actually made him worse, and I'm waiting for Fraser to go, oh no, wait, he's getting better after that. But just didn't.
No, there's that moment where Janet goes, should we euthanize him, basically? Like, she's hinting at, it's like, hey, should we just...
It'd be so much easier.
And it's like,
the hypocritical
Janet.
Yeah, but man, I don't know. Like, it wasn't until the very end where I'm like, when he actually went through the gate, I'm like, oh shit, that's it. Like, what the hell, man? So I mean, I'll have to go back and watch it again, because
first stage of grieving, Rhys denial. So and anger.
Well, if it's taken me this long to get out of the first stage of grieving for Apophis.
I just love that the very first shot. Like, usually I don't like shows that show you what happened at the start and then you do flashbacks, but I think this was done quite well. I just love that opening shot where every shot is a moving shot, like the opening sequence rather, and Daniel's walking through, don't touch me, and it's like, what's happening?
It's like, don't be a dick, Daniel. What?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
He still could be radioactive.
Don't be angry.
Oh, shit.
They're just trying to help you, mate.
And then Carter drops her line.
It was a device housing an unstable radioactive variation of naquita. We think his right hand was exposed to the equivalent of over 8 to 9 grays of neutron radiation resulting from direct contact. Full body exposure of over 7.
Oh my God.
Doctor?
It's a lethal dose, sir.
And such good music, arch music. All I could picture at that point was like Nem from Fire and Water coming out, going, "What fate, Daniel Jackson?" Just like, he's definitely gonna die. Radiation to the face.
Yeah, true. Like it was an accident that killed him. It wasn't like the amount of times that they've gone off world and he's just been like full battle.
Yeah.
Like so many
never got
dangerous
shot.
position there.
Never once got shot.
An accident after a selfless action too. Like it was actually like a real heroic way to go out. I mean, I know it was prolonged his death, but what caused it was him like being real brave, especially considering all the people that were actually involved in creating what would be that accident all bailed. Just like pissed off, and Daniel had to be the one to go and save this alien race. You know, these foreign people that he's never met before.
Yeah, you'd think he'd run.
So do you see a little bit while we've been talking about the actor, we've been talking about the character for a little while, and I think even you've come to hate Jonas because we hate Jonas, and it's like you were right there when the accident happened that killed Daniel Jackson, you motherfucker.
and he denied it.
I will never forgive him for this. I will never forgive that for this.
I know, because Rhys Rhys hated him before he even met him.
But that's the thing. Like, that got me offside when they're blaming Daniel. And it made me question Daniel. Like, oh, maybe he did sabotage it because he doesn't want them to blow up. You know,
it would be such a Daniel move.
Blah, blah, blah,
I believed it for a while.
And then when Bloody O'Neill's like, "What did you do?" and Daniel's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." And I'm like, "Oh shit, maybe he did."
Yeah.
But then they replay it, and obviously he's just gone in selfulessly and saved everyone. And then they've gone, "Oh, he sabotaged it. Let's take him down."
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like that. Just it pissed me off.
Classic Colonus.
as everyone, I guess.
It's an entire planet of wits, like the entire planet. Like we do get to see. We go back there a couple of times, and every single person we meet from Kelowna, you just want to uppercut.
Yeah.
You just want to just open up their face cavity with your elbow.
But I mean, it did save it a bit when he came back and he's like, "Oh, you know, they still want to use it as a bomb, but you know, I don't want them to. Here, have some Nequadria." But I'm like, that was you. You still wanted to do that. Like that was still your idea until, you know, lo and behold, O'Neill goes, "Hey, why kill other people when you can just defend
We
yourself?"
got shields.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like,
all right.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you do if Jonas had showed up and was like, here's some Nagada?
You know what? When he goes, oh no, we found the word Nakwada, but we also translated the word, and I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting. I'm expecting to say Nugget. I'm like, if he said Nugget, then I'll be like, oh,
Don't ever expect to hear that ever again in your whole life.
You will never hear Nagada.
My whole rant was
Yeah.
kaput. No, but and then Nequadria. I've noticed that as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh, Brennan said that mistakenly a couple of times.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have.
I thought you were just an idiot.
I know.
I mean, you are, but
Yeah. Maddie still thought that even though he knew that was a real word.
yeah, well, Maddie's pretty switched on, mate.
Would you like to know why Michael Shanks left the series?
No, thanks.
Okay.
He's going to play Hamlet, bro. He's going to do... Wait, he did heaps of good movies in that year.
Oh,
yeah, I bet. What year?
He did
Year
that
after
one.
you left.
He did that one with J.R. Bourne stuck in a lift. Yeah,
Stuck in a lift. Stuck in a lift too.
yeah.
No, go on.
This is Brendan and I have chatted about this many times. You've probably overheard. We've been trying to find the audio of it, but we cannot find it anywhere. If anyone has the audio of Michael Shanks from San Diego Comic-Con International in 2004, please send us a link or send us the audio.
Yeah.
Because I've just got an excerpt here, and it says, when Michael was asked why he left the series before season 6, he says, "Because I hate Robert Cooper."
Bullshit.
That's real.
That's what he's
true.
Well, that was his joking line. He goes, "Because I hate
Even
Robert
as a
Cooper."
joke.
After the laughter,
It works so
the
well.
laughter died down, he followed on with a more serious response of, "I needed to take a break, blah blah blah. I needed to grow as an actor and do some theatre." And
Obviously playing James Spader's character for
wasn't
5
expecting the show to go that long, and this was the end of their contracts too. Because you remember the Showtime cancelled them. They said, "This is it. This is your last series."
Yeah.
And ironically,
So he's booked Hamlet for a good, huge matinee series.
so he didn't
And,
renew his contract, and then ironically, the fandom blew up. They started like a SaveDanielJackson.com, blah. They blew up, and it hit the main news cycle, like all that kind of stuff. And it was actually a lot of the furor from the fans about killing off Daniel Jackson that made Sci-Fi go, "We'll have your show. That show
wow.
that Showtime doesn't want.
Yeah, right.
We'll have it. Come over here. Come make your really popular show over here."
So they still hadn't been picked up until following, like...
No.
So
very,
I'm just
very
the
late.
idea of like, I'm just like thinking about if he's not renewing a contract. Cooper, he's like got one episode left. He's like, no, not coming back for the final episode. No,
I want a massive ending for the show.
Yeah, I want an
we've
ending
got another
for me.
4 seasons. Oh, shit. Can I get back in on this shit?
There is a Comic-Con audio bit that I have from Marina Sirtis from
Watergate Girl.
Watergate and also Stargate, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Sorry, Maddie, that's
Sorry
one
for
for
you,
me.
but
This is Marina Sirtis at a Comic-Con. I can't remember where it is exactly. So this is a YouTube clip, her talking about her experience with Richard Dean Anderson, which was great, and then she's now talking about her experience of Michael Shanks. in the episode Watergate.
Yeah, too much pressure. So, but he's a sweetheart, and I don't remember the pushing at all. I really don't. So, I mean, I do remember that Michael Shanks was going to leave that year. Do you remember that? He left, and he was being a brat. And at one point he said, "Who do I have to F to get off this show?" And I said, "That's easy, darling. The same person you have to get on it."
So that's
Which is weird, given that Watergate was season 4. That was like the beginning of season 4.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether Marina's misremembering.
from what I've heard.
or-
She's just a bit. I think she's just plays up the crowd a bit.
Yeah, I'd say so. Because I know at other conventions, a lot of the Trek actors, like, they'll talk about it and they'll get their facts wrong because it's been 100 years since they've done it.
And they don't care that much about it.
Yeah.
It's a paycheck.
Yeah, that's it. They just go to conventions for the paycheck and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they kind of misremember things and misremember seasons because they're not, nerdy fans like we are.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, it's been well documented that Michael Shanks wasn't necessarily happy with the way it was going with his character. Obviously found himself bored in a lot of episodes and thought that he had... I mean, he's got mean acting chops. We know that with what we've seen before.
yeah.
So,
And then early on he was able to kind of, escape from Daniel Jackson every now and then and do like Michello and
yeah.
things like that. But the last couple of seasons... And I think in some of the... I think on the DVD extras for this season, they do like a little Michael Shanks interview. And he talks about how over the last couple of seasons, Daniel has become not just the translator and the archaeology guy, he's like the moral center of the group. So I don't know whether maybe he was just kind of tired of that same Daniel v. Jack, ethical debate, which I can get, but it's not like he wasn't Chris Judge, where Chris Judge would just go out party. Basically, Chris Judge was the Lutzy of Stargate, basically, and he would just go out and party every night and rock up to work on no sleep and say 3 lines of dialogue, and that was it.
Oh, man.
He actually
Get paid a shitload to do it.
That's how Kilner Reaming came to be. So Chris Judge tells the story that he had been out late one night. He actually didn't go home and came to set after.
God, I hope this is a true story.
Chris Judge tells it.
The hope that it's true.
Yeah. So he was doing an episode. It was Peter DeLuise was directing, and they're sitting they're doing a briefing room scene. And Teal'c had no lines in the episode, but he had to be there. So while they're setting up shots and stuff, he's fallen asleep just at his chair, and Peter DeLuise has gone, "Are you asleep?" And that's when he's just like, "What?" He's like, "No, I'm meditating. Teal'c meditates." And then 3 weeks later is his first Kill No Ream episode.
What a cracker.
So, and then they started writing in more and more elaborate Kill No Reaming scenes because he fell asleep on set one day because he was hungover.
And it's got him out of so many jams
Right.
since then.
Whereas meanwhile, Michael Shanks has got to learn 3-page monologues about ethics and
Yeah. And
Just-
Carter about technical jargon.
and she said as well, she actually goes home and does homework. She'll get the script, and if there's a particular science thing, she will on her own go and get a book or go online or
Yeah.
whatever and actually read up about that particular science thing of the week, so that she kind of can talk about it with a bit more authority.
Which, as if you would.
So,
Yeah.
well, she's got kids
I like-
now. Back then, she was single with no kids. So what else should she
Yeah.
do? But
I
now
like
she's-
Morgan Freeman's approach. He's like, "Is it hard being an actor?" And he goes, "No, I just go in and say my lines and then go home."
Yeah.
Atta
What
boy.
about, what's
I
that?
just happen to be one of the best at doing that.
What's that guy? Who's the guy
That's pretty
from
easy.
Action
from
stuff.
Apocalypse
Pretty easy when
Now
you're God.
and Superman? What was his name? That old actor? He was the father in Superman.
Russell Crowe.
No, in the proper Superman.
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando. Apparently, as he got older and older and older, he literally just had people holding up cue cards behind the camera,
Yeah.
and he was just reading. He didn't even learn his lines. He was just reading off the cue cards.
That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah, right. Marlon Brando. Do
And,
whatever I want.
and you're not on Saturday Night Live.
And that's why for Apocalypse Now, that's why he was
They're
all
the
shot.
worst at reading cue cards.
Totally.
Like the worst.
In Apocalypse Now, that's why Marlon Brando was all shot in shadow. It wasn't this cool creative thing. It's because he was 100 pounds over what he was supposed to be. He was just a fat
Yeah.
tub of lard who was supposed to be
Soldier.
starving in the Vietnam
POW.
jungle. He's been- yeah. And he
Yeah.
was just 100 pounds too heavy.
He was
So
wearing a
that's-
dress.
And that's basically why
muumuu.
why they shot him in
muumuu,
shadow,
totally.
was to try and hide his fat ass. So
Where did you say they the save Daniel Jackson?
Well, if you'd like to know more, Mitchell, how about we just wheel in the piano, boys?
Gather round the fire, it's time for another reading with High Pitch.
You okay, Graham? He's crying.
He hasn't been here.
He's not the only one, mate. He's not.
I've just
the
seen
Happy
the back.
New Year.
I've just seen the back cover of the illustrated
Oh,
companion.
yeah, look at that.
Jesus.
Oh, Jonas is on the back.
Whoops. I've been holding this up for the last 6 months and I've never even noticed that. It's like Daniel dies and Rhys is finally paying attention when I speak and he's like, he's ruined it for himself now.
He's really dead.
He's ruined it.
Actually,
It's unlikely there's ever been a bigger ruckus over the demise of a character than the fuss created when Daniel Jackson hung up his hat and went off to investigate higher things. From the moment that spoilers were posted on the internet...
oh my
fuck's
gosh.
sake, enraged and occasional deranged fans blasted the producers, the entire writing team, the suits at MGM, and even the cast as having driven poor Michael out of the show. Several websites, including one created by the Save Daniel Jackson campaign, vented all sorts of spleen and bile against the makers of the show. Some fans collected enough money to place an ad in a prominent Hollywood paper to show their solidarity for Michael Shanks.
Nice.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's all he ever wanted. Michael Shanks, that's all he ever wanted.
Just wanted the notoriety.
To be loved.
To be loved. And to be loved in return.
Graham.
You're going to open the door before you...
Yeah.
That's it.
Thanks, Graham.
Oh, there's tissues out there,
I
but
would help, but I'm too distraught.
I'm just wondering, if that was today, imagine it all went down the exact same way, what they would have been like today, because we've seen even
you'd
just the last,
expect it.
12... Oh, absolutely, but even just the last 12 months, that show Lucifer, I forget where that initially aired... Whatever, well, that too. And it got cancelled after season 3, and fans it was hashtag Save Lucifer, and went nuts for a couple of weeks, and Netflix picked it up, and they said, yeah, okay, well, they were already screening it, at least here in Australia.
That happened with
they were searching Save Lucifer.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, yeah, it was hashtag Save 99 or something like that, and so that got picked up by another studio network, whatever, and so they're coming back for a 6th season.
And the OG one back even before this, I believe, was Farscape.
Yeah, okay.
Save Farscape. Farscape got cancelled after 4
Hallmark
seasons,
movie.
and got a movie deal out of it. And it took a little bit longer, but even Joss Whedon's Firefly, that was cancelled after 13 episodes on Fox, and then they got their
got a cinematic release.
Cinematic, epic, wonderful movie.
I thought about watching that for the first time the other day. And I
I'd
didn't.
hold off a
mate.
bit.
I want to know who started the Save Daniel Jackson campaign. If you're out there and
Michael
you're listening,
Shanks.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back, but
I
I'll
want to know.
try.
There would have been a lot of women. He had a good fan feeling. He was like the OG. Remember how Benedict Cumberbatch has his Cumberbitches, and Chris Pine has his Pine Nuts and all that kind of stuff. What would it was today?
What are his fans called?
What would Shanksy's be? Shanksy's devout female following.
Lambs.
Lammies. He's lamb. He's the shepherd.
The flock. The flock.
All
Just
the-
the flock.
yeah.
All his,
The flock.
all his DMs just shank me, Michael. Just shank me.
So, in the starting credits, name Corin Nemec came up, which I've heard you guys say.
King Jonas.
Oh, that's Jonas. Okay.
King Jonas.
So obviously he's a recurring character.
Great guy, Corin Nemec.
Corin Nemec's great. Was he the show he did when he was a teenager? In Parker Lewis Can't Lose or something? Was that him?
Yeah. That's it.
It's a good show. There's actually after Stargate, he kind of went into he didn't really get a lot of work after that. I think because people hated him so much.
Yeah.
Because of Michael Shanks. Only a few years ago.
It's like Joffrey of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He'll never get another job.
Well, he actually did a web series with the kid who played Bud Bundy from Married with Children, who's never.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And they played because I think they're friends in real life, and they played out of worked actors in this little sort of web series show that they did called. I'll look it up. It's something Star or Unstarred.
Dickie Roberts.
Yeah.
Childhood star.
Brendan Fraser.
But yeah, so
Bud Bundy, he'd never have to work again anyway.
surely not. Surely not with syndication.
Syndication still being played.
God, yeah.
Channel 10.
Surely.
So what do you think of Jonas? What do you think of Jonas?
Oh,
What do you
look,
think of Jonas?
first impressions, don't like him. No, as I said at the top of the show,
Oh, mate, it gets worse.
He did save himself a bit by coming back and be going, oh, look, what we're doing is wrong, obviously. Here, I'll help you. I'm more interested in what SGC is going to do with that Nequadria.
Oh, mate, stay tuned.
You
I'll be excited.
You wait and see.
Our own build a bloody spacecraft and slap a sticker on it.
Yeah.
So how does it compare? Sorry, just the facts on it. How does it compare to Naquadah as far as its power? Or
It's like
it's like
10, 20
million times more powerful.
Yeah.
But it's really unstable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we do learn a lot more about it. Like in the
it's pretty much this whole season's arc.
The amount of energy you put into
Nequadria.
it actually makes it even more and more unstable.
Yeah, right.
Like it's Starving was the show that he did with Bud Bundy because they were starving actors.
I see.
Starving.
I love a pun title. And I'm just noticing here from the top series cast, it's Dave Faustino, who's Bud Bundy, Corin Nemec, and third billing is fucking Coolio.
Yeah, he's out of work.
Oh, shit.
Apparently.
What were we talking about the other week? Cisco. He was in.
Donk, 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 donk.
But I thought something that I missed a few times in my first rewatches was that it was 10,000 years ago a guy Wood was experimenting with Nequadria which I thought was interesting, considering that's a long time, 10,000 years.
Well, I guess
Was it a Goa'uld? Did I
Yeah.
say Goa'uld?
I guess it's got to be before this civilization has sort of created, because it's like these big veins in Nequadria
Yeah,
sort of down, and they have no idea about it.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's got to be. And what do they say? These guys are like basically the equivalent of our 30s or 40s or
50s,
whatever,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
Which
1940s.
That was something I did like. I did like the analogy. To me, the whole Nequadria thing is kind of like them telling a sci-fi analogy of the Manhattan Project. When we split the atom, it's like, imagine if when the atom was split, we figured out a way to make rockets out of that to propel us through the universe, or make energy shields. But it's
Yeah.
like, no, we turned it into a bomb.
Kill each other, yeah.
Like the most horrific bomb that's sort of ever been created.
Yeah.
So I did like that analogy, but I was too busy just crying into my cornflakes to
You
really.
eat cornflakes at night time?
Cornflakes are an all-day meal.
Cornflakes for
You only have the
You
you only
eat
have the
cornflakes.
sugary cereals in the morning, but like at night time, I'll have just right for dinner.
God, yes.
Oh,
Bit of
mate.
Special K.
Yeah, all brand.
Special K. Fuck that.
I stopped at
Nobody
toast
got
for
time
dinner.
for
I've
that.
never went back to cereal. That's interesting.
Have you never done Brenner?
No.
Breakfast for dinner?
Oh, I've had bacon and eggs for dinner.
Yeah, fucking
Absolutely.
pancakes,
Oh, God, yeah.
bacon, eggs, croissants, cereal, fruit. Yeah,
Cocaine.
Brenner's the best.
Yeah.
Usually a breakfast meal.
Hey, what else do I get going in the morning?
No, cereal for
Have you
dinner
ever had
is
dinner for
awesome.
breakfast? Breakfast beers, I call them.
Does leftover pizza count?
Shit, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's dinner for breakfast.
I like the part. Speaking of Jonas, I like the part where Jonas says, "I'll give you the Nequadria, but you have to promise if you develop shield technology, you have to give it to my government." And Hammond's like, "Of course." I'm like, really?
Is that
That's the approval
easy?
process?
Oh, great, excellent.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I guess. Yeah. Have it.
And
I'll
Do
tell
whatever
you
you want.
that right now. Whether I would do or not, different story.
I was wondering how you must have thought how serious the threat of Daniel's death really was when they come back and they're like, he's going to die from this. And these guys don't want to help because they've got this technology, blah, blah, blah. And Hammond and all the higher-ups and pretty much everyone was like, yeah, but look at the tech they could probably give us, though. It's like, Daniel's dying, sir.
Yeah.
This is what we're going through the gate to do. And I'm like, I would understand that from Kinsey. I would even understand that from Major Davis, even though he would have some kind of question about that decision. But Hammond, like, straight up was just like, nah, look at this shit. I'm like, this would make me not believe that the threat on Daniel's life was that serious, because you got the fourth person who probably loves him the most in that whole command center not really giving a shit about him.
Well, when you think about the fact that he was going to quit to give the team an extra hour to save Tilk, and now he couldn't give a shit about Daniel. I think that's what it was. I think that's why it put me in two minds when I'm like, he'll be right. Like, not many people are worried. Like, they're coming in individually, SG-1, and saying, goodbye. But I'm like, something will happen. They'll save him somehow.
Kind of save himself with that line. Like, Jack was coming in and was pissed off about, like, he didn't want to deal with what's the Corellans, or what did you call them? Colonans. And he was arguing with Hammond about one of the many, decisions they had to go through after, Daniel's suspicious actions. And Hammond sort of cut Jack off at one point and said, "Don't think you're alone in how you're feeling." And I'm like, well, no, yeah, you would feel that way because you're a lovable old teddy bear grandpa. I get that, but you were kind of being a bit of a dick before with going, but yeah, this tech though, people are on my ass to deliver. And I've always been in favour of you guys until now, where one of you is actually dying, slowly in front of my eyes.
Now we've got super Naquita. So you, Daniel.
If it was just Naquita, you'd be all on board. If it was Nagata, I wouldn't even consider it. But then
Naquadria. We will trade you for Naquadria in a fucking heartbeat.
I do love that they didn't just forget about something that could fix him because of the convenience of the threat of him dying. Like O'Neill basically saying, let's track down a fucking sarcophagus here and stick him in. They're like, oh, he's already done it a bunch of times. So he goes, what's one more? It's not going to hurt him.
Yeah.
We know. What did he say? We know the bad effects that has on people. It's like he's dying of radiation poisoning. What else could be? What else?
It only affects him,
or he could maybe get angry for a week.
He's going to drown internally.
Like he might be in a bad mood that he might need a Snickers bar for every day for the next month.
Might need a nap.
Yeah, but what's easier for us?
Yeah. It's like he only like got cranky last time because he was in the sarcophagus when he was healthy. It's like
for a
his
week.
skin
And
is
sleeping there with a woman
peeling
that didn't know that trees existed anywhere else. You know,
Daniel's sitting on the side of the bed talking about how his organs are going to liquefy. Find a f***ing sarcophagus guy.
Well, at least like just turn the gate on where that sarcophagus is.
Yeah.
Go, Daniel, go for a walk. If they capture him, they're going to put him in it to torture him anyway.
yeah.
So
They put on a rescue mission. We know that you can do it.
And he might kill a few of them with residual radiation poisoning.
but maybe they're just, siesta time, and he just walks through, jumps in, comes back. That was easy, guys. SG-3 don't know what the hell they're talking about.
What are the odds of that?
He did.
Could happen. It was in the scripts.
Like, Hammond wouldn't even send a Malp. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's heavily guarded. I read that report. Not going to happen.
Don't even bother. Don't even bother dialing.
Yeah. I'm a bit disappointed. I mentioned it last week. I told you guys how my computer shit itself, and I'd actually created this beautiful montage. Like as we normally farewell a character, I like to do like a song, a sappy song with a montage. But I don't have it. So I'm a little bit devastated because I put hours of work on that fucking thing. I'm hoping there's people working on my computer right now, so I'm hoping I'll have it maybe, and I can play it for the season review.
If Sam Carter was working on it, you'd have had it immediately.
But
and in saying that, I've made something.
Oh,
Now,
I made something.
What I've made, I've had in my head for 15 years. It's been stuck in my head. And
so there's going to be an Austin Powers reference in this.
no, there's not. Ever since I saw this episode and I saw Jonas Quinn, I'm like, this is in my head. Now, I apologise for it, but anyway, sorry, not sorry.
But
also,
not really. Yeah.
This is a take on Elton John's Daniel.
Oh yes,
and I'm calling this.
That's a song.
Yeah,
Daniel.
And I'm calling this Brendan's Chevron number 9 Ode to Daniel Jackson.
Who are you, Beethoven?
Chevron number 9.
Oh, this song. I had no idea it was called that.
Daniel exists now on another plane.
Jesus. Sure did make something.
I can see the chevron lights lock and spin again nowhere. I can see Daniel waving goodbye.
It fits nicely.
Oh my, it looks like Daniel.
Nicely.
He changed to a cloud in front of my eyes.
Wow. Oh, we're still going.
It gets good.
Yeah.
Not really.
I hope so.
Say ascension's hard, though I've never been. But Daniel says it's the best freaking place in the galaxy. Oh, and he should know he's been there enough. Tilk, I miss Daniel. I hate Jonas so much. Whoa, Daniel Jackson, you are smarter than me. Do you still feel the pain? Neutron radiation, that shit don't heal. Your eyes have bled. Now you can't see, you're dead.
I'm gonna miss you guys. Yeah. You too. Thank you. For everything.
You have an effect on people, Daniel.
I wish you to know that I believe that the fight against the Goa'uld will have lost one of its greatest warriors, and I will have lost one of my greatest friends.
See you around.
I don't know.
I can see Daniel waving goodbye. Carter, it looks like Daniel. He changed to a cloud in front of my eyes. So Teal'c, I miss Daniel. I hate Jonas so much.
Jesus Christ. I've never wanted to hear what Maddie made as much as I do right now.
I don't know, man.
Whose perspective was that being sung from?
Jack O'Neill's,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
I was at Madison Square Garden on November the 8th watching Elton John.
That was so much better than
perform
that.
this song, Daniel. I don't know, man. It's pretty on par.
That's how shit he's gotten, Elton John.
He's just here for the f***ing cash now. I'm not even going to warm up, guys.
What just happened?
Mate, after the things you've made over the years, don't you talk.
Hey,
Wow.
I am being 100% honest, and I enjoyed the fucking shit out of that.
I'm going to need to get back to you on that.
So the premise was I used to watch this with a friend, and when Daniel died, her and I made up that, or she said, I hate Jonas so much, and I was just like, oh my God. It's so, you just hate Jonas.
It's just such a, cheerful tune for such a...
Well, it's not, because it's actually about Elton John's brother called Daniel, and he died.
No, just the tune, just the actual, the melody. The melody is just kind of so happy and,
Yeah.
That's
happened.
That's going to take a while
Shit.
for me to...
So how much of that can we keep in?
process that.
Oh, well.
I think it's going to take me as long to process what I just heard as it did for me to process Daniel's death.
Oh, Jesus.
Check back here in 17 years.
Yeah,
Maddie's just upset that he didn't get to play
I'm
his own.
just-
Daniel Jackson, I think that's it.
I literally don't know whether that was genius or just the fucking weirdest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Can it be both?
That's what I'm trying to reconcile in my head. I'm just like, I don't know whether I love it or hate
No,
it.
that was cool. Because you know why?
I'm not going for a record contract, if that's what you're wondering.
Yesterday, I
If
was...
anyone out there wants to sponsor the
Great
show,
people,
I think-
Sony.
I think that is the most effort anyone has ever put into anything we've ever produced out of this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
that is-
don't get him wrong. Brendan recorded that 10 years ago.
I told you, 15 years.
Now, what I think my favourite bit, and correct me if I misheard, but when you actually faded out into the grabs from the show, were you still singing at that point? Because I feel like you even faded out. You're I'm like, this is so late. I love that you sang shit that
production
you
value.
actually faded out of to there's some unheard lyrics there. I love it.
And were you singing your
it.
own backup in that?
I just copied that and put an ambient track.
So brilliant. Brilliant.
Production value is just out of control.
I love it. I love that.
We
Why
still
kept
can't get our
looking
fucking levels right.
You know what? Because I kept looking towards the computer screen looking for the video clip, and I'm like, no, it's just a track.
It's playing in my head.
Oh, there's a Patreon exclusive for us. Is the video clip that goes.
Yeah. You know what we can do? We film it
The
in
white shirt.
Film it in 4:3.
Flying out.
Obviously, it's not widescreen. It's 4:3. It's got that Vaseline rubbed over the lens type look to it, and it's in maybe 16 frames per second.
Brendan in his Elton John sunglasses.
Yeah.
I've got them in my bag here, actually.
We're doing
Now
that.
you mentioned
Funny you say that.
Oh shit!
But yeah, every time I've obviously I put more lyrics in it this time, but even when you listen to that song by itself, it works.
Which I do all the time, obviously.
Yeah, big Elton John fan. Mm-hmm. That fits with this show so much.
Wow.
What are your thoughts, Rhys? With
So the iris was closed when the gate opened.
I wanted it to be polarizing, and obviously it was.
No, it was just unexpected.
Everything you make is polarizing. Everything you do is polarizing.
Oh, Jesus. No, it's good. I enjoyed it. It's good.
Bit long. Could use
I don't
editing,
believe
but
you.
it's okay.
I cut half the song out.
I don't even know where to go from
Actually,
there.
there is a second verse, but it's pretty Jonas heavy.
And you mean that wasn't the whole song?
You know what? That would
Maddie
have been
telling you that it's too long.
that would have been so Elton John inspired. Because what's that song go for? Normally like 6 or 7 minutes or
Yeah.
something. And when I was watching him the other month, he said that song was written by his writing partner and given to him, and he looked at it and go, that's too long to be a song, and he chopped out the last verse of it because he's trying to trim it down to be a single. And he said, I wish I'd never done that because the last verse actually made the whole song make sense. And so that song's already long enough, but it could even be long enough again.
Wow.
So I love the idea that you're like, well, it was that long, but there was more, but no, I didn't record it or something.
It's gone full meta.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's stuff about Jonas dying horribly.
That's the one thing that's missing from this episode is the quote of Jonas being like, my head, oh no, I'm bleeding from the neck, I'm dead. Like, that's what I need. That's the catharsis I need.
What?
I just want
Jonas
Daniel
died.
to die. I really want
Daniel?
Jonas to die. Jonas.
I'm
Jonas.
so confused.
The one thing missing from this episode was Jonas dying as well, because he's a dick.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
wanted. That's
Yeah,
what I
why
wanted.
didn't he die?
Jonas.
Tune in
Yeah.
next season to find out, mate.
Well, he didn't go back. He's got a cot next to Teal'c now.
Yeah.
It's going to be bloody buddy cop all day long.
Jeez.
Aliens on base.
Yeah.
I'm wearing Daniel's clothes and just getting real weird.
Yeah. Oh, mate.
I don't even need glasses when I'm wearing glasses.
It gets that weird. It gets that weird.
This is called a do-rag.
So what happens next episode, Rhys? Like, you get this kind of death, like, should be really in the. I mean, if they think they're getting cancelled, you go out like this. The story of the entire series away from Daniel isn't really wrapped up. But what do they do next episode? Where do you think this goes? Like,
they'd
you
have
could
to
spend a whole
go-
episode coming down from Daniel's death, really. But
Yeah. I reckon it's just an episode full of them talking to psychologists, taking grievancy leave. Surely they've just got to get angry and go out and blast the shit out of Goa'uld.
Pretty close.
So I don't know. If they thought that the series was going to end here, then there's not much else they can do. Either that or all die off, which I don't think will happen.
You have to remember, Michael Shanks also plays another character in the show.
Yeah. Voice as a character.
He's Thor.
The dead guy.
He's the voice of Thor.
Was that old guy?
Marcello.
Marcello.
No, Michael Shanks is Thor as well.
Yeah.
So they've got to write Thor out of the show as well.
what happened to Daniel Jackson? It must have been very sad to lose someone.
Michael, come back for one more episode to kill off Thor.
Yeah. In the Teenage Mutant
Thor's already dead.
In the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon from a couple of years ago, Leonardo was originally played by who's the pie f***er from American Pie?
Jason Biggs.
Jason Biggs. He was the original
That's your legacy, Biggsy.
pie f***er.
Hey, pie f***er.
That's literally it. Yeah.
He's a waiter now.
One pie. One pie.
He's a waiter. I love where you're going with this.
Pie f***er.
Yeah.
Come take my meal.
I want some apple pie, and don't you f***ing touch it.
He was
I hope you've jerked off before you come to this shit. I don't want you f***ing my pie.
That's pie a la mode. He was the voice of Leonardo for the first 2 seasons of a Ninja Turtles cartoon that ran for 5
Really?
seasons.
Was Leonardo an awkward masturbator?
Pretty much. This is the one where
It's not what Splinter would want.
it's the same one where Samwise plays Raphael.
That's right.
So Samwise is Raphael, Jason Biggs is Leonardo. Sam from Lord of the Rings.
Gemji.
Sean Astin.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So what they do, Jason Biggs leaves at the end of the 2nd season. I don't know whether he quit or fired. I'm not too sure.
Probably fired.
But he
Too many pies.
No, he had
in his contract.
too much
it was either that or waiting. He's like, I got to pick one.
He's like, oh,
Go wait tables.
You're playing Leonardo is a bit bit of a masturbator, and we need you to feel that down.
Is that masturbating undertone?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like Splinter wouldn't want this.
We said jerk, not a jerk up.
Yeah,
not
and then
jerk
the producer's like, we don't even know if turtles can masturbate.
Yeah, they probably
don't.
can't.
So-
They wear undies.
No, they
They
finger
don't
bang
wear-
their shell.
Can they? Yeah.
They could probably get it right in there, eh? Under the net.
So he was replaced by
the top.
Seth
You
Green.
go from the top.
Well, I don't know where a f***ing turtle's dick is.
So Seth Green replaced Jason Biggs, and the way they wrote around it is the end of the second season. They no one cares anymore about this story, but I'm going to finish it.
I do, because I've
For
cut
the
out
three
so
people that
much
care
here
that are
we just
listening right now, I'm going to finish this fucking
Yeah,
story.
yeah, I do, really do.
Me too.
So
me
they
too.
basically retold the story from the movie where April O'Neil's place gets burned down and they run away to the cabin in the woods.
Bet you
But
there's an insurance.
Good
Leo-
movie.
but-
Great show.
Yeah,
That
but
was-
Leonardo, like saving Raphael or Splinter or something like that, gets burnt and hurt like he does in the movie. And he, for a couple of episodes, he's talking like this because the fire, like all the smoke inhalations, hurt his throat. And then 3 episodes later, he's Seth Green. That's how they wrote around the change in voice for Leonardo.
Blame smoke, but I'm pretty sure it was a dick.
No, it was
And
the
is
pie.
that how his character from Family Guy came out?
No, because this was only a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he's been a Family Guy for decades now. But this was like
Decades?
yeah,
Is it really that
the show
long?
came out in like
He's only
2000.
24.
Really?
It disappeared for a while, hey?
Yeah.
Like,
It's been cancelled twice and come back. Seth Green's like 40 something. He looks like he's 20 still, but I've got a bit of a semi across the universe. Maybe it's just trivia.
I thought you were going to stop at semi. And I'm like,
Oh man, I've always got a semi.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the room with you guys.
So should we semi
No,
across the
I'm,
you don't
I'm
want to
not
play
gonna,
it?
I'm not going to play it. I'm not
Okay.
going to play it.
Across the galaxy.
Or maybe it's across the production lot. So this episode was directed by William Waring. This is his first episode of Stargate he ever directed. He also, and for the hardcore fans, this isn't going to be anything for Rhys or even Mitch, I don't think, but Brendan will.
What do you say, mate?
Pretty hardcore.
Well, it's an Atlantis
Too
reference, and
hardcore.
you've not
Oh,
seen
yeah,
it,
mate,
so.
no.
I'm hardcore and I'm a fan.
Right over
Sorry,
my
I
head.
wasn't listening. What?
So this is William Waring's first episode of Stargate that he directed.
Yeah.
He also went on to direct another very controversial episode from Stargate Atlantis entitled Sunday.
Good show. Enjoyed that.
Well, another one that got the
Lord's
fans. Another one that got the fans up in a bit of a furor.
Oh, good. Who dies in that one?
What season is it? Don't tell.
I'm not going to tell. I don't want to tell you.
Good
Because by the time we get to it, you guys will have
Bloody
hopefully forgotten. So.
Sunday. I'll remember Sunday now.
Aquaman dies.
Yeah.
Watching this, I didn't know who had written it because I wasn't keeping an eye on the credits at the start. I was like, obviously into the story, blah blah blah. I don't want to see his name pop up. And then I had to go back midway through watching this episode, and I'm like, who wrote this? And pull out the DVD and Robert C. Cooper. And the first thing that popped in my mind was, I don't know what, 3-4 weeks ago or something. Rhys and you were. I don't know which episode it was, and you said, wouldn't that be the worst way to go, being a victim of Robert C. Cooper's writing? And I'm like, if only back then we would have been like, you have no idea.
Wait for it.
So not only does Cooper kill Daniel, he creates Jonas Quinn.
Oh
Is
my
he a
God.
Cooper creation?
One episode too.
Oh,
That's not even the reason I hate him.
I never put that together. I never put that together.
Yeah.
Just adds
So it's
to
all
the
coming together. It's all coming together.
These pros and cons list at the end of the runs. Like, pros, we'll get back to you. Cons, created replicators, killed Daniel Jackson, created Jonas Quinn.
Get the
3 strikes, you're out of here.
Was it Fifth Commandment? That should have been it. Should have guillotined his career.
Hey, here's something interesting.
But what about Fifth Race? Don't even talk to us about that hypothetical show you have in your mind.
Your mum helped you with that, we know.
What does the title Meridian have to do with this episode?
I was going to
I don't
ask,
even
but I was
know what it
embarrassed, but I
means.
didn't know. Yeah, good.
Isn't it like Meridian time? Isn't that like a time? You know how to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about Meridian time?
Mm.
So what's that got to do with this episode? I don't.
Time left.
It's funny that I've never actually considered it because I normally sit there and pull things apart. But it was only today when we were coming in. I went,
It's because you're too
What the
busy
fuck
blubbering
does-
most of
right?
the time.
just using my tears as lube.
Are you looking it up?
I was about to, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
go.
all do it.
Let's see who wins.
Let's do this
I got
live.
Google Apps.
A circle of constant longitude passing through a given place on the Earth's surface and the terrestrial poles.
The Meridian system is a concept in traditional Chinese medicine about a path through which the life energy known as Kai flows.
Chi.
Chi.
Chi. How do you spell chi?
How do you spell chi?
QI.
Oh, that could be Ki. There's also Ki as well.
Tai Chi.
There's Tai Chi, but there's also Ki.
Key. I'd say it was key.
Adjective relating to or suited at a meridian. The meridian moon. I don't know. So like halfway dead, maybe. A circle of constant longitude passing through a given place. That sounds like a Stargate to me.
It is
I like how they included in what does meridian mean. They included the word in the explanation. It's like that is not helpful.
Oh, the meridian moon. Why didn't you say so?
What? Oh,
Well,
what show was it?
It is weird though because there's, and I know Rhys is going to roll his eyes when I say this, but there's an episode of Star Trek called Meridian.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, in DS9, and it's about a planet that kind of phases in and out of our reality.
That's
And
cool.
it's called Meridian as well.
It's cool, but
yeah.
still.
That's why.
That's fine. You didn't do it last week, so
No, I
guess
know.
I'm
I
owed.
didn't know whether we were still doing it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you can have two this week.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Didn't want to step on any toes.
Big shout out to patron Damien Edwards, who's he's burning through some Star Trek,
He
isn't
is.
he?
He's
He's
one
keeping
of-
us updated on that. Maddie's inspired him.
One of many guys. Just one of many that I've
Well,
inspired.
he's the only one that's making
to,
contact.
One of
How
two.
would we know?
One of two.
You told us. Damo has 50% of them.
It's still plural. Just on the explanations, but I don't know if it was The Simpsons or South Park, but there was, I don't know, some animated show, and they were doing they're a spelling bee, and it was like the final, and it was Croxeldefific or something.
Oh, Jesus.
And they go, "Can I have it in a sentence, please?" And like, sure. Croxeldefific is a hard word to spell.
So I noticed, I just found it really funny when they came in and all of a sudden Daniel was wrapped up like a mummy. I'm like, is this his idea? Like, wrap me up like a mummy.
Write me
Loves
out,
all
and
that
I'm not even going to be in half the episode.
Yeah.
But then,
Well, they had to because he had to walk around the bed whilst he was laying there.
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, it just reminded me of a bad soap opera. You know how there's always that dude,
yeah.
and then that's how they change
but they do-
characters. It should
they
be
do
Corin
that-
Nemec on the way out.
They do that. It's like, oh, they were, someone in the Bold and Beautiful that fell down an elevator shaft
Yeah.
or like had a car crash and they wrapped their entire body. His
Yeah.
skin was melting off his
Yeah.
body. That's why that was just a cocoon to hold him all together.
I
for
would
a
have
bit
loved
longer.
though if that's how they would have like
Yeah.
switched around. Like he takes off, they somehow kill
Carter
him.
fixes him,
Yeah,
and then he takes off the
rags,
bandage.
and then a voiceover comes like, "The role of Daniel Jackson will now be played by Corin Nemec."
They
I've
literally
seen that in soaps where like the character comes in and it's a new actor and they're like, "Oh, hi there, Daniel," and then the voiceover tells you that a new
Really?
actor's. My mum was watching Bold and the Beautiful one day, and it
Wow.
goes, the Rick, I think, or something. If there's a Rick on that channel, it's like, the character
Is
of
there?
Rick will now be played by Brendan Gibson.
They did that
and then
in-
they rolled on with the scene. I'm like, what the
they
what
did
the
that.
actual.
All right, let's go with it.
Everyone's like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
keep watching.
They did a
I've seen this
spoof on
before.
that in Roseanne when they replaced the Beckys. When they replaced the old Becky with
really?
Sarah Chalk, they're like, the role of Rebecca Connor will now be replayed by Sarah Chalk because the original actress went to college. So Sarah Chalk was there for like 1 season or 2 seasons, and then the other girl came back. So they got the other Becky.
Thanks for your
But
time.
they didn't want to fire her, so they went 1 for 1. So it's like
Bullshit.
for like season 7, one episode would be one Becky, the next episode would be the other Becky.
No, you fire someone at that
And
point.
then
Like,
there's-
I don't
Well,
want
you
to fire
don't
mate.
let her come back. It's
And
like,
I-
you wanted an education.
Roseanne's not gonna-
not here for show business.
Roseanne's running the show. She's not firing a woman.
Jesus.
But then what happened is there's an episode where they go to Disneyland and Sarah Chalk shows up and it's like, oh, you picked a good week to be here? That's actually in the show.
Yeah. I like how they played off it in Iron Man 2 because they initially wanted Don Cheadle to play Rhodey in
That's
Iron Man
right.
1, but he wasn't available, so they got Terrence Howard, and then he got fired between the two movies. And then Don Cheadle walks in, and they're like, Rhodey? And then he just walks up, and he's like, what are you doing here? And he goes, don't worry, it's me, I'm here, let's just get on with it. And that was their meta way of explaining it. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool.
I want they do the whole plastic surgery, take the thing off. Corin Nemec just goes, hand me the mirror. The mirror.
Doc Fraser, you see what I have to work with? It's state-of-the-art tech. It still doesn't look anything like it used to.
And for some reason, just for this one episode, she's just got like a single light bulb hanging from a string in the top of the infirmary.
And yeah, all of a sudden it's so dodgy.
And it's just swinging
Walks up
backwards
28
and
flights of stairs, just cackling to himself. Oh, the one time that they did a casting change and they did like a meta way of sort of winking at the audience, was in Bond. The first was Sean Connery was Bond for 5 movies, and then he left because he's like, I'm getting typecast here. Like that was his breakthrough, really. You know, he's Bond in the biggest movies of the 60s. They cast George Lazenby, the Aussie guy who was not an actor, he was like a mechanic or some shit, I don't know, and they make him Bond. And then he has all this trouble with this woman at the start, like pre-credits, and he turns to the camera. The only time that the Bond series, I think, has ever broken the fourth wall, and he said, this never happened to the other fella. And then they go to the song. And so that's sort of like his like little wink, because it's the first time any other actor's Bond was Sean Connery. And as we know now, there's been 6 actors who've played him, or 7 in the unofficial blah, blah, blah. But I think from that, there goes the theory. From a lot of people that watch these movies, they go, oh, well, Bond is a code name. James Bond is a code name. Not 007, James Bond is a code name, and there are different agents. I'm like, no, it's the same guy, because the Aussie guy got married, Sean Connery took revenge for his wife getting killed, Roger Moore went to her grave, and Pierce Brosnan was asked about being married, and he said a long time ago. Like, it's the same character played by different actors. But that casting
they're all
change...
called James Bond.
And the meta reference to the audience going, hey, you're in on this joke with us, actually made half the audience... at least since then, go, I get it. Yep. Character change. It's like,
isn't there going to be a female James Bond soon, or they're calling for it?
Yeah, they've called for it.
Maybe not after all the backlash of the female Doctor Who.
I don't care too much about Doctor Who.
Doctor Who makes sense.
Just create your own characters. Like, f***ing hell.
Well, people wanted Charlize Theron to do it. I'm like,
Halle
she was
Berry.
Atomic Blonde. That is her James Bond character. She's a spy.
Remember Halle Berry was supposed to get a spin-off movie when she did Bond? Her Bond character was supposed to get a spin-off movie.
Right.
Catwoman, it was terrible.
But no, just on what Mitch was saying about replacing characters, because we were talking a couple of weeks ago about Kevin Sorbo's show Andromeda that Michael Shanks' girlfriend is on. They actually did the opposite. They changed the character but kept the actress. So for the first 2 seasons, she was like this purple-skinned, like Nightcrawler, had like a prehensile tail and this short little sort of blonde haircut. And they kind of written her into a corner and they didn't know what to do with her. So in the middle of this episode, this out of nowhere, it has nothing to do with what's actually going on in the episode, this fucking like time portal opens up in the middle of the starship they're on, and like a different version of her steps through, who's like this warrior goddess that's now gold with like long red hair and spears and all that kind of shit. And it's like, oh, I'm you from the future. You know why I'm here. And the little purple one goes, okay, and steps through the portal into the future to take her place. And now they've got that actress, they've given her a complete change.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the just happened?
Well, it's so funny that you guys actually talked about the fact that Michael Shanks still plays another character in this show, like a prominent guest character in Thor. Until you said that, I hadn't really thought about the fact that he's leaving as an actor, but he still has a role as at least a voice. Like, I mean, yeah,
at least for one more episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thor comes back next week and they kill him off. Then Shanks is gone for good. Or does he go, I'm not coming in to work 6 days a week for the next like 10 years of my life. I'll come in 1 day every month or every couple of months whenever Thor would be on board and do a couple of hours worth of voice recording, and then I'm going to go home. Like
pulling a Mick Malloy on his old breakfast show.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. I didn't notice that he was Thor after the first episode we saw Thor. I didn't notice.
Yeah, you
the
could
difference.
easily change it. It's flanged voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it would really.
Corin
matter.
Nemec could do it.
Yeah.
Imagine
Wouldn't that
if they
be
went
amazing if Corin Nemec was the new voice of Thor? Wow.
So, what is the next episode called?
Revelations.
Ugh.
And they got a good team behind it, actually. You got Joseph and Paul written it, and Martin Wood directing. So bringing out the big guns to wrap up the season.
Some good world, like universe building stuff in this. Lot of like knowledge bombs drop in this episode.
And if what we were saying about the fact that they hadn't been picked up yet to go to sci-fi, and this was supposed to be the series finale, and then what we were talking about a few weeks ago, that they were then going to go into a direct to video or feature film to properly wrap up the series. It's a big move to I guess build a lot of the universe when you're wrapping up a series. But again, like I've said, the last couple of years, if they've been thinking or the last couple of big twists that have been happening in the last sort of 6 or 7 episodes, it feels like a natural progression of the show. But they're also, when they were written, it was because the show was ending. But in hindsight, you look back at it after 10 years, it just feels like, oh, that was a good natural step to take halfway through.
obviously we'll talk about it next week, but yeah, it's a very ambiguous ending next week. Like it's not a cliffhanger.
Interesting.
It's just a very... If this had been the end of Stargate, I think it would... I don't know. It probably wouldn't be as mainstream popular. I think it would almost be like a Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, kind of like one of those cult shows that ended too soon. If season 5 had actually been the final season with the way next week's episode
ends. It was too popular to be cancelled. I just noticed this in 2002, obviously, when Shanksy's left the show. He starred in a German, UK, South African co-production, Sumeru, a science fiction B-movie as astronaut Adam Wade. So he clearly is gone for.
Didn't he go and do a bunch of theatre, though?
He did Hamlet. But, he's an actor.
And I guess he's an actor, but it's funny. It's like, I'm sick of doing the same show for 5 years and the same similar storylines. I'm going to go and do a theatre and do literally the same show 7 times a week over 6 days.
It's Hamlet, bro.
So, the iris was closed when the gate was someone dialed in. Well, Jacob dialed in, and the iris was closed, and then it still opened. Would the Kawoosh have any effect on that, or what's the scientific?
It's not the first time it's happened.
I was going to say, we've never seen that before. They can close it and have the Kawoosh has no effect.
It's kind of like
because they say
won't have time for any molecule to come. I don't know. It's kind of one of those dumb things that you just accept.
Yeah,
it's not really.
Yeah, they kind of hide behind the when Carter says the iris is a micrometer away from the event horizon. It doesn't allow matter to form, so it's almost like, does the Kawoosh form, or does it just it contains the Kawoosh? Right. But it's like we've seen how destructive the Kawoosh is. Yeah. So you kind of think, well, wouldn't it destroy the iris as well?
You can't just get an iris every day.
I mean, I do like that. It's almost a bit of a scare in a way, like a little, like when the iris is closed and they're waiting for someone to potentially send an army through or something, and they're like incoming travel or whatever, and they you hear that wah wah, and you hear the Kawoosh, and all of a sudden like the room's dark, the iris is there, and you just see this backlit room in the blue, and it's like shit, the wormhole's open. Like we didn't do this, but you don't see the Kawoosh or anything. It's just almost more frightening if you can't see the wormhole, and all of a sudden bang, it's open.
And it's probably easier to slate as well as as a CGI. Because you don't have to bother with the Kawoosh. It's just your iris picture.
They've got a few stock shots of the Kawoosh, but otherwise, if they want to do it, it's it's a big cost.
I think that was in this episode too, and then the gate room's full of airmen, and then they do the stock shot, and there's no one in the gate room.
Man, that's the first time. Once you just said that, that's the first time I wish that the SGC was run by the Navy.
Why?
Because then it would have been a gate room full of seamen.
Imagine
I didn't see that coming for some reason.
Really?
I'm like, because it's on a boat? I don't know.
Some sleep. I need some sleep.
Imagine, though, if the Kawoosh actually did eat through the iris and they had to close the iris the second that Kawoosh disappeared, and it was the event horizon. Like they were raised, like that was Walter's job. That makes his job that much more important if they have to let it open, and then the second that it shuts, he has to hit that button to close the iris before something or someone comes through.
And he'd have it down too. So he'd be like, all right, the vortex is at its peak, and now I'm going to hit the iris because by the time it shuts, the vortex is back in. So it's like,
would they do
boom.
the double up? Because you know how the iris kind of has like 2 stages? It's like, would they go like stage 1 that closes the outside of the thing and then has enough room for the Kawoosh, and then stage 2
absolutely
cuts it off?
That'd be cool.
Could you theoretically close the iris midway through the Kawoosh?
Oh, I reckon it would fuck up. I reckon it would fuck it up.
Surely. So yeah, I mean, I guess that our books kind of ruin it for you, Rhys. So I guess you kind of know what might be happening next season. I really thought you'd come in here just being like, nah, like, because you were so like, Apophis isn't dead, Apophis isn't dead, Apophis isn't dead, and I think there's still a part of you that expects to see Apophis again.
You will,
yeah,
in flashbacks.
Yeah.
So I fully expect you to come in and just be like, they're not killing Daniel. That. What are you talking about? We'll come back next week and Daniel will be there.
Yeah, if I didn't know that they thought the series was ending, and if I didn't know the name Corin Nemec, then probably I probably would be like, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
you kind of don't notice. You're like, well, they're basically giving him asylum. Well, you don't kind of think about it.
Oh, that he's joined the team.
Well, that's it. You're so much.
In the SGC,
you're so shocked by the death of Daniel, you forget that you hear Corin say like he stole, not Corin, Jonas stole some Naquadria and he ran through the gate to us. He can't go back to his home.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of forgotten that because he's not in next week's episode.
Is he?
Nah, he's not in next week's episode at all.
Right.
So I think apparently the
That's
writers,
right. So
the
start of
writers
season
even
6.
forgot.
Start of season 6 is like, oh, you're here still? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then apparently, I think it might be in a commentary or somewhere in the special features. I'm fairly certain they actually, it might have been in next week's commentary. They actually shot next week's episode before this one.
Really?
Okay.
So next week, they're all reacting to the death of Daniel and mourning Daniel, and they haven't even shot his death yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they actually shot them out of sequence. I'm fairly certain.
Right.
I'm fairly certain. So
I was going to say, because Carter mentions it
yeah.
briefly.
Oh, it's a big
they
part
barely
of,
touch it.
It's a big part of next week's episode.
I wonder what the other main casts are thinking when Shanksy's like, yeah, I'm done, write me out. And even if, okay, they have been renewed or whatever, like the show's been renewed, do you get this one guy who's been there from the start and he leaves? They've done, 112 episodes or whatever by this point, whatever it must be. Like, do you think the thought went through any of the other 3 actors' heads? I know it's a gig, and these gigs don't come around easy, and you take what you can get, especially something like a sci-fi show.
I doubt Chris
like this,
Judge will be able to get paid as much by going out on benders and turning up to work the next day.
Absolutely, but do any others
RDA just rocks up and he's like, well, I basically run this show, so I can be a sarcastic prick and make up my own lines. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's it. He could also sit at home and just make money as like the producer sort of thing that, as he still would be like making money from it being an actor and a producer. Or do you think they'll just go, see you later, mate?
I reckon
we'll just pick up the pieces.
We're riding this train because it's a sweet gig from all reports. Like great cast,
who
great.
doesn't want to be a working actor?
Yeah, great.
You've got to get to 7 seasons for syndication.
Just like a great group of people making a good show.
Oh, absolutely. I just I work in radio, and you see like a lot of teams, and then one person gets has to move for family reasons, or gets an offer to move interstate to work in a similar job but with a different team, and then you get just retires, whatever, and. Then you get the rest of the people. It's like, all right, well, do we keep the bosses? Do we keep this show going and replace that person, or is this the end of the rest of the? And understandably, in all kinds of entertainment, I guess, that's the great threat is. Do you keep 75% of a team going on and try to rebuild it, or do you start afresh? Obviously there was no threat for these guys. If Shanksy's leaving, you want the other 3 to stay there because the audience want those 3 to stay there. But do those 3 actors go, you know what, I've done this for 5 years now, I kind of want to do something different as well?
Well, I think, I don't know. I think it's almost like now maybe Chris Judge can be like, oh, now that Shanksy's out of the way with his melodrama, maybe I can have a few more stories about Teal'c or instead of doing 3 lines an episode.
Jafar Rebellion can have so much more place in there, that's true.
And obviously they've got to do some character development for Jonas, but no one's buying into that.
I think
he killed Daniel.
Yeah, right. That's what it's like.
And we'll talk about it next season more, I guess. But I think the issue being with a lot of the Jonas hate is they made him too much like Daniel. They try and make him to be a Daniel clone. Yeah. It's like in Atlantis when they get rid of a character, and I won't spoil that. They get rid of the character to bring in Ronan.
Yeah,
it's because they realised the show isn't working with the current lineup. They needed a Teal'c character. They realised they didn't have one, so they got rid of a character and put Teal'c and put Ronan in there. Whereas I think because they know Stargate, like SG-1, works so well, they went, okay, well, we've lost Daniel. We need a Daniel character.
And plus, they've kind of thrown this in. It's like, oh, I read that book that you gave me last night. And he's like, I gave it to you. What, you've already read it? And he's like, yeah, I'm a quick study. Yeah. So that's kind of like his superpower. So he can catch
he's got
up.
Like a eidetic memory or whatever.
How annoying.
So great, he's a bookworm.
Yeah. Him and Daniel got along great. Yeah, until he tried to kill him.
Yeah.
But how many languages does he know?
He'll know all of them.
He'll know a lot by soon. They give him Daniel's office. They give him Daniel's stuff.
Yeah, they give him his books.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel.
His
Jonas.
Archaeology kit.
Yeah.
You know.
These are all his old girlfriends.
Yeah.
Do you want to try things with them? Give them a call.
Jonas a do. I don't know if they ever give Jonas a do-rag, though. I think that might be the one thing that they...
That went with Shanksy.
He gets a Carter hat, though, doesn't he? He gets a hat like Carter's, the flat top. The flat top hat. Yeah.
But anyway.
So here's to absent friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
One for me, one for my homies.
One for my homies.
Just kidding. James Spader comes back next week. Oh, God, imagine. Shank says I want out, and they go, Should we call Spader and just see what he wants to come
What's he
with?
doing?
Yeah. What's Spade
Boston
up to?
Legal still? Oh, okay, damn it. That's
not
really
available.
popular, is it? Damn
What
it.
about Jaimin Honsu? Is he available?
We can write that somehow. Maybe out of the rags.
Kurt Russell, do you want to play Daniel Jackson?
Try something different.
Throw that out there.
Come try
Oh, Jesus, you imagine that.
No, do you know what we really could have done to piss Rhys off? We should have been selling it this whole time. That Doc Fraser joins the team.
Yeah.
Full time.
I wasn't saying that earlier because they needed a doctor on the team.
Member.
Totally would have fallen for that too.
Imagine.
Yeah.
That's something that would happen.
It's where they started to really call for equality. We need 2 women and 2 men on the team.
I mean,
No Asians, though.
I would have photoshopped shots of her in like camo gear as part of the team to try and sell that shit.
Imagine if they did do what The Office did when Steve Carell left. Because remember, they just brought in a whole horde of guest
Yeah.
stars.
Yeah,
You know, you
that's
had
right.
Will Ferrell, who was never going to go on that show long term, but he comes in as a boss, and all these other like big comedy stars just for one episode until they. Who did they end up settling with? Who ended up taking the role? I haven't even seen that far in The
Wasn't
Office.
that
I
guy
can't
off
remember.
the
I never
Hangover?
watched it.
I'm not sure.
No, he was in it at the same time. Ed Helms.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's in it.
But it just would have been funny if, you would have had, like, come Trier and old bloke and Doc Fraser joins for and like Walter goes
SG-1
out like
Trier.
Testing it.
imagine Walter goes, I can do it, this is my chance, and he just gets he walks through the gate and gets capped straight away. It's like, damn it, all right, he's
we
back
should
on
have
the
said
desk.
Grogan made it into SG-1.
Oh God.
Oh, if only they hadn't killed off Rothman, they could have.
Yeah.
He finally
Oh
made
no!
it.
Thank God they killed off Roth. Imagine that. I'm
You know what?
back.
You know who I'd like to see? Mayborn
Ooh.
in SG-1. That'd be sick.
Yeah, Jack thought that Daniel was a great pain in the ass for 5 years.
Yeah.
Mayborn's in the team. Come on, Jack. We
The
should
one
go
thing was
off
all
it.
the mourning they do for Daniel, and the one person they never checked in with was Satterfield, though. I mean, how does she feel about
Yeah.
it? You know,
Who? Box face.
Satterfield. Who else's face is she going to sit on now?
Jesus. What about old bloody Jen Haley?
Yeah, get her in.
I reckon if you would walk out if that was the case,
Absolutely.
like, you would just be like,
Bring on Atlantis.
I'm out of this fucking show. And no joke, that's what a lot of fans did when Jonas walks in. They're like, I'm out of this show. See you later.
Yeah, well, it's really annoying the way that they introduced this character too. It's like he's really a shithead in this episode, and how do you redeem that?
Yeah. How do you replace a beloved character with the character who was responsible for his death?
Yeah.
Like that character's death.
Yeah.
Pretty
And then
much.
just make him that character.
It's really annoying the way they did that.
rough.
And I don't know if they had plans that he was always going to be part of SG-1 or what, but
You know whose fault that is.
sure.
Cooper!
Classic Cooper.
Correct.
It's time to find out if
Rhys has been paying attention.
In Memoriam edition.
I'm expecting you to get all of these questions right. They're pretty much gimmies.
In the episode Meridian,
Jesus.
which character dies?
Yeah, right. So we got 5 questions, 30 seconds on the clock for Rhys. Time starts at the end of the first question. What did Daniel Jackson receive a lethal dose of?
Radioactive material
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Radiation.
Roughly, how many people did Daniel save?
3.
Incorrect.
Oh, millions, yeah.
Correct. When reporting to Hammond, what did Jack call the Langaran government?
I don't even know
Pass.
that one.
Who helped Daniel ascend?
Homer DeSala.
Correct. Who gave Jack the sample of Nequadria?
Jonas.
Correct. What did Jack call Langaran government?
Dumb.
Lying bastards.
Right.
I wouldn't even have got that one.
Yep. 4 out of 5, buddy.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, even though he's dead, this is what he thinks.
From the grave.
Your father made you wrong! You stupid son of a bitch.
It's the things we remember about them after they go.
That's it,
And that's
yeah.
what we have to remember.
One of the greats.
Daniel, condescending.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Thanks.
We never even really
for your
talked about
legacy.
Omer. I like Omer. That's all.
Yeah,
Man,
I
she's
always
fucking
remember
sending riddles.
liking Omer a lot, but then, the riddles were really annoying this time around.
New actress, though. I love this actress. Mel Harris. So good.
Well, the old actress was just a
Just a
floating
cloud.
face.
Yeah. When they even mentioned, Daniel's like, you look different.
You got a suit
But,
on?
You've got a body.
Yeah.
Oma DeSala would now be played as.
I do
Gary
like Mel
Jones.
Harris.
Come with me, Daniel. Cool.
I'm sad.
Yeah. Single tear.
I'm over it, I think.
Love me some Daniel.
I'm over it. Bring on season
If
I
it
know,
was
we got
Teal.
one
That's the
more
thing. We've
episode.
still got the season finale to talk about. It's crazy. This feels like it's such a wrap up.
It could have been a finale, this.
Yeah.
Like,
Going
and
straight
he's
home to watch
dead.
it.
He's dead.
Well, you can catch us next week. That is episode 110 of Get Into Gate. We will be back to talk 111 Revelations, episode 22 of season 5. Wow, 5 full seasons of Get Into Gate. You can
Halfway
check them
point.
all out
Yeah.
on our podcasting channels. We are now on Spotify. Have been for a couple of weeks. Thank you very much to everyone for getting involved there. But you can always check us out on the usual channels as well. Your SoundCloud, your Android apps, and also iTunes. If you want to subscribe and listen to us via iTunes, you can also download Brendan Chevron number 9 Ode to Daniel Jackson single, which is available.
Get it to number 1.
Debuts in the top 100, ladies
Now, I
and
work
gentlemen.
for a commercial radio station. We play, right, on a Saturday afternoon, and we play the top 40. That's a legit, and it's a live top 40. If you could get that up to a number 1, we will be playing Brendan's song, Ode to Daniel Jackson.
Chevron 9.
Wouldn't that be horrible? People would be like killing themselves
Oh, mate, I take
every day, like
His-
all the time,
his-
driving off bridges.
Mate.
It's a sequel to Bird Box, except
As-
instead of seeing monsters, if you hear Brendan Chevron number 9 Ode to Daniel Jackson.
Mate, as still as
Hey, Chevron number
emotionally-
9 is the name of the album, by the way.
All right, I'm sorry.
As still as emotionally confused I am about your song, I would take it over anything Rihanna's got.
Oh, that's good.
Happily.
Otherwise, you can subscribe, like, comment, share, all the wonderful ways you can spread the word of Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all the socials there. Drop us a longer form chat or send us a voicemail, getintogate@gmail.com.
And if you want to ascend to the greatest fan base ever, jump on to patreon.com
Absolutely.
/ Get Into Gate. I couldn't remember. I couldn't think of
Meridian.
And we
Use
don't-
Meridian in a
That's
sentence.
the thing, we don't fully understand the meaning of meridian, so it's hard to make, was it a verb or an adjective?
Yeah.
Purely a noun. We just
the Meridian Moon.
If you want to follow the Meridian
Oh, yeah.
from iTunes to Patreon,
Yep.
That could happen.
Yeah, if you want
patreon.com / Get Into Gate.
if you want to be like the European broadcasting area that extends from the Atlantic to the Meridian, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, jump on Patreon.
Oh,
such
love
a
it.
simple.
So good. It's one of the best ones, actually. Just hand that to you.
Just flowed.
Right off the tongue. Use it every week.
We'll be back next week, 111, talking the season finale of season 5, Revelations.
Shit.
Get Into Geek.